I don't remember what I was saying, but um, yes, I remember now. Okay. So I wanted to get out of that hellhole, and I couldn't live in that environment because it was going on my whole life. You know, I tried everything I could. I even thought being friends with the manager and engaging in the sexual activity at the manager would not only benefit me promotional wise, but as someone to see what was actually happening in my actual home. And he did the same thing my stepfather did, and to me that became normal. But I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't. But I still wanted to seek it because it was the only affection by a man or any type of affection that was in love or, you know, infatuation, someone wanting me, and it felt good and I felt appreciated, and I didn't get that at home. So even I feel I had part of the responsibility, to these men doing this to me. But again, everybody knew. Everybody knew. And it still went on and on and on. So I thought, the best way for me to rid myself of this abuse and torture is to join the military. My mother didn't even know I joined and signed up for the military. She didn't know until the day I was leaving. She didn't even care. She just waved her hand at me and said bye. That was it. And I never saw my mother again. But this was the woman that created me and gave birth to me and made me who I was. And when I became enlisted into the army, it changed everything because now I was being forced, literally, to think a certain way and act a certain way. You know, instead of things that were happening as a child, it could have been stopped. In the army, it could not have been stopped. I'm being forced to do it this way, and that was it. Where was I gonna go? I was had nowhere to go. I remember being. I've never been on a plane before, and we were on a plane to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and we were flying on a military jet, and my stomach was churning. It was churning so bad I used the bathroom twice. But the third time that I used the bathroom, boy, did I blow it up. Everybody was complaining. Because it started recirculating through the air. People spraying like perfume and the flight attendants, they're spraying disinfectant spray and everybody trying to get rid of the smell, but it was so unbearable because when I opened the door and I saw everybody reacting, it's like instantly I was, oh shit. So I casually went back to my seat and my stomach continued to crumble. But what was so funny is the flight attendant ended up coming back to me and saying, "Would you like some peanuts?" No, bitch. This was before peanuts were, you had to pay for peanuts. So they gave you peanuts and shit. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm okay. Then we get off at the military and we picked up in a bus and we fly to this really desolate location in I don't Columbia, South Carolina is I think it is. Yeah, I think it's Columbia, South Carolina. And there were acres and acres of land and it was acres and acres and acres and acres of land. And as a gay man, I'm like traveling with all these straight, heterosexual, testosterone filled men. Some of them were ordered there by, the judicial system, and they had to go there because of court, or some were avoiding jail time, and others, like myself, just wanted to join the military. And then you had moms who wanted to go to school, you know. So there are various types of people within that bus, going toward this military base, Fort Jackson. And it was hot. It was so hot. And the drill sergeant made us get out of the because mind you, we're on the bus and he's screaming at us, telling us who he is and what to say and what not to say and how to perform it, and literally screaming to us in our ears. Again, what was I to do? I wasn't going anywhere. I had nowhere to go. I had to do this, and sometimes it felt like I was being abused, like I was at home. And again, I learned to think that that was the new normal. This is how it's supposed to be, and life is supposed to be led. And oh, when we got off the bus, drill sergeant or everyone, that was there was like maybe 200, 250 privates, and they immediately made us do push-ups, and we were doing push-ups for over 5 hours, and they were testing us while they were doing the push-ups, because there's a certain way you have to do the push-ups, and like it has to be flat, like the beds, and they flip the quarter off your back. And once that you passed that, you had to run down a hill and find your bags, because they had thrown all of those bags down the hill. And it took me so long to find my bag, but as did a lot of others. And then those who took their time ended up having to do more push-ups when they got back up the hill. It was cruel. And it was like unexpected and forced, but we did it. And I began to, do basic training, and I cried every day in basic training because it was always something so horrific. Drill sergeant would spit on my face, and he would chew tobacco, so he had, "It's out there, pal," and he'd talk like that with an accent because he's from the South. And he used to spit the chewing tobacco on my face when he yelled, and it would stain my face. They always had a thing for me because I was from New York, so I don't know what it was about New York. I guess that's why we're strong, but it was because I was from New York, and a lot of other people in the platoon, because there was Alpha, Bravo, Delta, and Golf. I was in Golf. No, I was in Delta, because I ended up moving to Golf when I was in AIT, Advanced Individual Training. We'll get to that later. But I was in Delta Group. We are the Delta Dogs. Delta Dogs are in the house. In the house, hell is on a trail. Whoop, whoop, there it is. We had to say that every time we marched. So I get there, and I'm quiet. They assigned me a battle buddy, because when I enlisted as a private. But when we get there, they assign you a battle buddy from the particular platoons that they had divided us into by passing these push-up tests. So There were now 40 of us. There were now 40 of us in a platoon, and that was Delta Group. So we go to this facility, and I see, like, as we're going, because we're walking normally, but in lines of 3, in rows of 4, and on the other side of the street in the pavement, there were others in the same position marching in full uniform, and there were people saluting each other, and it felt like very like I was on, in the gym, but like being forced to do it. Like in the gym, I used to just do it, I didn't force myself to do anything I couldn't do. I think that's why I was able to maintain my body for so long, but now I'm ugly. I'm ugly. And to me, it really doesn't affect me as much because when I was beautiful, you didn't want me. And now that I'm ugly, you still don't want me. People don't like me. I'm going to stress that enough during this series because it really bothers me as a person. As a person who knows damn well that I'm very likable. I'm a Libra. Anyway, so we get off and we go into this facility where everything is lined up. So one booth they shave your head. Then the next booth you had to go and pick up your boots and your blanket. And the next booth you had to pick up your pins and tags and stuff like that. The next booth you had to pick up a duffel bag and you put everything inside the duffel bag. The next booth was t-shirts, towels, underwears, and it went on and on and on until you got your full essential items that you need. And we were told to stand in formation and take everything out again, the duffel bag that we just put in there. And we had to fold it a certain way and put it back in. I'm like, okay, why did we have to do that? Like, but we did, and we got into formation, and then that's when they told us how to march. And if the pattern of his voice that he was shouting didn't match our feet, we had to skip. So you would skip a step on your feet to learn how to get back up with step and everybody else, so we could always stay in uniform. And we go back to the facility, and it's dirty and dingy, and it looked like nobody had been there for any amount of years. It was really grimy, and we had to clean it. But not before chow. They fed us before we went there, before they made us clean it. And some of us were up all night having to clean it up. Mind you, we had to go to sleep by 9 o'clock because we woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Every morning we woke up at 3 o'clock. I did that for 10 years. Sometimes I do that now, that's the start of the day, and they would wake us up by throwing garbage cans and things like that, and shouting out and turning on the lights and the fire alarm just to wake us up. And after a while, we all got used to waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember one time drill sergeant, this drill sergeant, because we were assigned 4 drill sergeants, and there are only 3 things you can say to a drill sergeant. Yes, drill sergeant. No, drill sergeant. I don't know, drill sergeant. If you you didn't apply to those rules, you would automatically have to do push-ups. For you to graduate basic training, you had to do a certain amount of push-ups, sit-ups, and run. We ran and did push-ups and sit-ups every single day while we're in basic training. So you would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and we would run. And every time, when that happens every time, I lose focus of what I was talking about. Why does that happen to begin with? This is all unedited and real because I have no one else to talk to. So you're going to see minor blurbs and things going on that I'm not aware of or in control over. It's just me and the camera and Wolf Blitzer. But I'm in a room all by myself, and it's just every single time. That's where I was getting at. Okay. When I was assigned my battle buddy, when we got into the facility, the bedding area, or the building, or the gate, whatever it was called, I can't recollect. But once we got there, were assigned bed bunks, and the bunk partner was your battle buddy. Your battle buddy was your BFF. He's supposed to never leave your side. He's like your dog, he's like your brother, your family. He's supposed to be your protector and guardian, and you're supposed to connect. And mine was Washington. I think that's where I started using president names when I named my dog, because his name was Washington, and President Clinton was, commander-in-chief at that time. So I never really thought about it, but Bill Clinton was a perfect name for my baby. I miss him so much. I really do. I'm trying to get to the stages of my life so you can understand where I am as a gay man living in New York City and what it's been like for a gay man in New York City. Homophobia is real. Transphobia is real. Hate is real. Xenophobia is real. Hate has no place here. And me doing these videos and these confessions will show you I don't want to be hated on. I don't want to be labeled as hate. There is no hate here. I come from abuse and so much hate that I myself am not that. I am not hateful. I'm not angry. I may be upset and disappointed and lonely, but it is what it is. But I need to understand why it is that I've never been prescribed medication. I've done several psychological evaluations and seen over 200 therapists and social workers and psychologists. There were so many of them, and I'm having to repeat my story over and over and over again. Every single time. Perhaps maybe I should get a COVID shot so they can track me. Cut.